Parents, I've got news for you. If you have a teenager, it is highly likely they are getting lots of their sex education from watching porn. Sure, you may have grown up stealing a cheeky glance at a magazine or two, but this is a different league. Even Pamela Anderson, of all people, has been wandering around with a rabbi this week, warning of the dangers of porn. Boys and girls now have access at the click of a button to content that would make your hair curl. These kids are growing up with wildly inaccurate expectations of sex and their partners. They think the things they watch are how they too are expected to behave, and there is a major disconnect between sex and love. It's time to have a serious discussion about porn, and it may even be time to bring that conversation into the classroom.
Michelle, are you really saying that you're proposing that we show pornographic material to our 3-year-olds? Is that what you're saying?
That would be the most bizarre thing for me to suggest. Showing pornographic material to 3-year-olds would just be weird. So that is definitely not what I'm
OK, so let me just get
suggesting.
this right. So you're saying that in order to educate our children, that your strategy is to replace education with pornographic material?
Again, that's not what I'm saying. Do you want to go a third time?
I mean, I'm just,
I'll go for a cup of coffee.
I'm completely baffled by your even thought process.
Right.
OK, so listen, the bottom line is you're saying that kids have access to pornographic material.
Yes.
So if they're going to have it anyway, let's now throw it in the classroom and encourage them. Ridiculous. If you want to educate kids, then educate them. Address it through the education system. You know, all your research clearly shows that most of the kids that get their education on sex, they get it through schools. I think in the last 12 years, the stats have gone from like 28% to 40%. So it's clearly working. If you have a problem, then focus on the delivery, the source of how we educate kids. But I can't imagine walking into a classroom watching kids watching pornographic material. Hello?
Right. What I want to do, someone is definitely in. She is definitely in. I'm not suggesting bringing out catalogues of pornographic stuff and lining all the kids up, and I'm not suggesting that. What I'm merely asking the question, and I'm posing the question, children are watching porn, fact. They are watching it in alarming numbers. The porn that they are watching is getting worse and worse and worse.
So now let's encourage them.
Hold on. Their response and attitudes towards sex is getting massively influenced by the fact that they are watching porn. Fact. There is no critical conversations happening, no critical conversations about what is this kind of porn? Is this right? Is this wrong? Is this how people should be behaving?
Michelle, the word's called education, so let's teach them.
What we're going to do? We're going to sit in a classroom and say, so children, let's just conjure up in our minds an image of pornographic movie. Now let's discuss it.
They've all seen it, Michelle. You don't need to show it.
What age? Let's get some details. What age are we talking about?
I would never do it until the final year. And by the way, I'm not suggesting we do this. I'm posing the question.
Yeah.
I would look to year 12, I think it is, so the latest possible year in the school, so certainly not 3-year-olds.
So 17,
weird.
No, I think 11. It should be younger than that. I think your reaction is a perfect example of the problem, which is basically that...
Oh, now it's my fault.
Yeah, it is your fault.
Oh.
We're all uncomfortable with the horrible reality that our kids are watching porn. It's horrible, but it's true. Like Michelle said, it's a fact. And instead of addressing it head on, we're just digging our heads in the sand and just being like, as long as we don't give them any, let's just hope it might just go away. It's not going away. A quarter of 11-year-olds are watching porn. Half of 14 and 15-year-olds are watching porn. It's happening. And the real disgrace, actually, is that most of them aren't looking for it. Most of them are looking at other stuff online, and it's popping up.
Isn't the answer sex education? Let's improve it.
I think you're misunderstanding. And as Michelle said, it's not that we just give them loads of porn and say, just enjoy this. No. It's show them...
That's exactly what she said.
No, it's not what she
didn't
said at all.
that.
Well, and I would go further and I'd say, you asked the question, should we? I think we should. I think that we should. Obviously, very carefully chosen extracts from porn, which are deconstructed in a classroom in a responsible way so that children can analyse it, just like we let them analyse other literature and material. Because the fact is, when you talk to teenagers, and I've talked to so many teenagers about this, you talk to teenage boys about porn, you ask them what they think about the porn they've seen, and some of it is horrific. I mean, there's abuse porn, gang rape porn that is easily accessible online. They have said that it's influenced their behaviour, and often they say they thought it was funny or amusing. You speak to girls, they said they found it disturbing and troubling, and that they felt that boys have tried to do things they've seen in porn on them. Now, the idea that we would just let our children loose with these kind of images and ideas without countering them or giving them a responsible way to understand them, I just think that is a complete abdication of our responsibilities as adults. We need to grasp reality. It's happening. How can we equip them
I think everyone
to
can
deal
do
with
all
it?
that without actually showing visual images of porn. I mean, what Ched Evans said, to go back to him, was that he wanted to have more education around alcohol and sex and consent. And I don't think that actually, I think visual images are really influential. I'd much prefer to see a conversation about pornography introduced in schools. I think it was Jenny Murray, the presenter of Women's Hour, who said we should actually show porn in schools. And you saying, as if it's, and analyse it like literature, the whole problem is it's not. It actually really affects the way your brain and your sexuality develops. Porn is a fact of life.
It does if you just let children watch it unmonitored without any context.
Well, that is happening anyway.
But that's one of the things you can do. You can, if you show children porn, you can explore consent.
What kind of porn are you going to show them, Afua? Nice porn? Why not show them childbirth videos, which would actually really ram the point home? This is the actual end result of sex.
Porn, there's a lot we could do. Our sex education at the moment is a disgrace. The government has voted not to make it mandatory. There are lots of children who aren't getting any adequate sex education at all. I mean, anything that would improve that, I would support.
Well, the problem here
I realise porn is an extreme.
We need to educate parents
too. There's a lot to what you say, Afua, undoubtedly. And I think maybe if you're going to do it, you need to do it at age 11 or 12. But I fear you'll have enormous divisions in the classrooms, because there will be strict Christian parents, there will be Orthodox Jews, there will be Muslims who will say, you're not going to show my children.
How would it work in a
so then you've suddenly got a split classroom, which is even more difficult for the kids.
Well, that's already happening. A lot of religious parents are removing their children from sex education classes. So you're getting kind of, a two-tier system where some children are being left without any information.
That's even more dangerous,
That's a reason to make it mandatory, because at the moment parents can't opt out.
So override a person's faith?
It's not overriding their faith. As long as a child, as long as somebody's going to have sex one day, then sex education is an essential part of their training.
So you would say to an Orthodox Jewish family or Muslim family or really devout Christians, I'm sorry, we are going to teach your child about sex.
I think it should be mandatory in the same way as maths and English are mandatory.
So we don't respect their faith?
It's not respecting their faith. I'm not saying that we should teach them that you should have promiscuous relationships, or that we should... I'm saying,
the Jewish man
in terms
or
of...
the Muslim woman will say, I will teach my own son or my daughter, thank you, about sex. You're not doing that. And
actually I know there's a group that does Islamic sex education, which tackles the really difficult stuff from an Islamic perspective. I respect that. As long as you're doing it, I don't care how you're doing it. You could do it in line with people's faith.
But isn't that the answer, though? Isn't the answer
Let's see it happen. It's not happening
we've gone from 28 to 40% through developing sex education in schools by focusing on that point, and it's clearly working. What Michelle's really saying is, I'd like to see 40% to 75%. And if that means that because of the digital age, because of online, these things exist today that didn't exist before, but our education system has not embraced some of those changes, and we need to change the way we communicate.
So how do we do that then? So what's your vision of firstly, do you accept that the access that children have got to porn is damaging their
Yes, I do, 100% accept.
So how do you
So I think that right now, in schools, we are using teachers to communicate, in whichever way they're using, in discussions, in groups, whatever they do. Today, I agree with you that because of the internet, the world's changing, and we probably haven't incorporated...
So just tell me the quick answer.
So I would say, address the fact that it exists. Yes, there is pornographic material, and we get to the heart of the abusive, the things that we don't like. You can discuss them, you can share them. But I think playing a video, no, that...
A carefully selected video, not like a...
Which leads me neatly, excuse me,